Here we go. All right, my lovelies. Thank you for coming to the Reiki Skills Lodge. I feel like we haven't had one in ages, but that's not true. The last one we did was a self-healing focus, I think. It just feels like ages ago. This one, we're going to be looking at the three tandens, the three energy centers in the body. The tanden or the dantien or the hara is where all of our Reiki work as Reiki healers and in our meditations and it basically as the work that we do for self-healing and for other people's healing. All of that is done from the tanden or the hara, which is in the belly. It is about 2, maybe 3 finger breadths below the belly button, and behind it about 1/3 of the way into the body. That's where the tanden is. Tanden is the Japanese word. Dantien is the Chinese word. You might have heard it referred to as that if you've ever done Tai Chi or Qigong. And hara just means belly or abdomen, and people refer to it as their hara a lot as well. It's all the same thing. So that's where all of the practical work of Reiki is coming from. That's where we connect in. And there are a number of people that I meet today still. I do a lot of follow-on training, shamanic work for Reiki people and things like that. So I work with a lot of people who didn't do Reiki training within the same lineage as me. And lots of people have come through without having been taught about working from the tanden. I come across that really often, that people are not working from there. Either they're working within the sort of chakra system, sort of the Indian yogic system that we're quite familiar with, or we are working from the heart center, or people are just connecting in from above and allowing the energy to flow. And the Reiki source energy, I think, is pretty intelligent, and everyone I've met who wasn't trained to work with the tanden is definitely still able to do Reiki, but it is part of the original system, and working deliberately with it strengthens it, and it's better for our energy, it's better for our health, it's better for our strength and our center, and it's important, I think, to ground us in not just in the system of Reiki itself, but in what it is to be a spiritual practitioner who's living in the world. This groundedness, this center of gravity is actually really important for us. So all of the practical work that we do as Reiki healers was always intended to be connected in from source above into the tanden, just behind and beneath the belly button. And that's where we are intended, is where Azui intended us to work from. But even if you came up in a lineage that drew a lot of traditional Japanese inspiration and a lot of the older teachings, a lot of people will only have been working from one tanden, and I was certainly trained that way, to work from that place and that place only. But within the Reiki system, there are 3 tandens or 3 dantiens. Frans Stein calls them the 3 diamonds. And we have the one, the hara, the belly, where we do the majority of our work from. And we have one in the heart center. And this one is the same as the heart chakra center. It's right there in the center of the chest. Whereas the tanden, the hara, is not as high as the solar plexus chakra, and it's not as low as the sacral. It's in a different position. But the heart center one is the same as the chakra system that we're used to. And then we have one up here in the head as well. And it's really considered to be, the head center rather than referred to as the third eye center, or it's referred to as the heavenly key center. And it's the ideal situation for our own energetic work and our own spiritual development is that we would work with the three together. I think the reason why they maybe got left out, I think a lot of the traditional original Japanese Reiki stuff got left out because a lot of it just doesn't translate for us. And also a lot of it was slow and grounded in a philosophy that we haven't kind of grown up in. So I am very grateful to the sort of westernization of Reiki that allowed it to flow through the Western world. I'm as grateful for that as I am for the Reiki masters in the 90s who all went to Japan hunting the roots of it and brought some of that back. It needed to be simplified and westernized in order for it to kind of take root here. So I'm really grateful for it, but I think it would be really nice for us to explore some of those core things and see how they work for us in our energy body. And also I'm really interested in the crossover. If you were on the call early, you heard Nan and I talking about this idea that shows up in Celtic Shamanism a lot, the three cauldrons, the abdominal cauldron, the heart cauldron, and the head cauldron. And we had a conversation a good couple of years ago now, a few years ago, where we were, you know, Nan was saying, is that a real old thing? Because it sounds like a modern thing. And I was like, you know what? I don't know. And so I went down a big old rabbit hole and found that there are some, like, a few hundred years old references to the idea of the three cauldrons in Celtic shamanism. But it's one of those things that it's just always had the feel of like a new age made up thing, which I'm not necessarily against, but I was like, wait, where does it come from? But it is actually an old Celtic shamanic thing. I don't know whether, I mean, certainly all forms of Celtic shamanism these days do not all use that terminology or that phrase, but the idea of these three centers is important in Celtic shamanism, and that's really one of the other really important influences on my life. So I'm just pleased at the crossover between those three things, and those two things, I should say. Showed up in Anglo-Saxon shamanism as well, and it's the crossover points on the web of weird in Northern European shamanism. So although this is very much from a specifically Japanese influenced idea that we're talking about today, it is worth noticing that those three energy centers have a lot of importance in other systems as well. So these are things that other societies, other cultures, and other systems of energy work have put a lot of stock in as well, which means they're real, which is fortunate. So Frans Stein refers to them as the three diamonds, which is quite a sweet little label for them. They are really important. And they talk about them corresponding to three really important concepts, not so much in Reiki, but in the Japanese kind of spiritual and cultural ideas that Reiki would have grown out of. And they talk, those are the concepts of earth energy, heaven energy, and oneness or connection. And those three things show up in Buddhism, and they show up in martial arts in Japan. And these would have been ideas that Uzui was very familiar with. They talk about in Tendai Buddhism, which was a huge influence for Mikao Uzui, and in Shugendo, which is another sort of energy practice that Mikao Uzui was a practitioner of. They talk about these three parts of the body as being the importance of where how energy flows through a person and how we connect this to spirituality and enlightenment. So in Japanese Buddhism, including Tendai Buddhism, they talk about the production of Dharma Haru, which is Buddhahood, basically, flows out of the three places, the upper, middle, and lower part of the body of the Buddha. So that's these three centers, these three different frequencies and energy centers within the body. And in Aikido, which I'm not a practitioner of, but funnily enough, my Celtic shamanic teacher is a devoted practitioner of, so more little crossovers. They believe that the earth, the universe, is composed of heaven or emptiness, earth, form, and human beings, which are the combination of both elements. Just going to skip over the fact that nothing is, we're not really talking about the various spirited forms of the trees and all those kinds of things, because you know that we're just talking about philosophy here. But this idea that there is earth and heaven, and then the humanity, that oneness, that connection, is the thing that is comprised of those two things combined. And Morihei Ueshiba, who is the founder of Aikido, who Azui Sensei did know, they were familiar with each other. And in my mind, it's like the sort of the surrealists and other cool artists and poets sitting around in like Parisian cafes in the 30s and 40s. I don't know that that's true at all. I've read no evidence of that, but I really like to think of all these guys that went on to found these amazing movements of energy work, martial arts, spirituality. I love to think of these guys as having sat around talking about it together. And we do know that they did know each other. Anyway, Ueshiba said, always try to remain in communion with heaven and earth. Then the universe will appear in its true light. If you perceive the true form of heaven and earth, you will be enlightened to your true self. I kind of like us leaning into those kind of ideas. The whole system of Reiki as an energy healing modality grew out of those kinds of ideas. It grew out of us not just trying to develop something that would heal another person, but Azui's original teachings were that was, it wasn't secondary. It wasn't that it wasn't important. It was always an important part of Reiki, but more important was the practitioner balancing these things within themselves and connecting themselves with these philosophical ideas. And we did not grow up surrounded by that kind of philosophy, most of us, and those kind of ideas. And most of us didn't get to learn Reiki in that really slow way over a period of years. We went and did our weekend levels and then went away and studied and then went back, and that's how it's done these days. It's good for us to kind of pull in some of the traditional and connect in more with them, and just try and feel in our energy body, build the kind of strength and the frequency of energy and the amount of energy that Azui had intended. So in this sort of Japanese energetic method, as Frans Stein refers to it as, those three centers are essential core parts of the energy body. And those are the three things that a practitioner, a spiritual seeker would get in touch with and develop over the course of a lifetime while they are connecting with the earth, connecting with the heaven, and really becoming that joined duality of those two energies, so that they could live in alignment with, you know, the Reiki precepts, but also just like the principles of Buddhahood and all these kind of spirited ideas and philosophies that we can find in Shintoism and all those kinds of things as well. And I'm going to give you the readings from the Reiki source book by Frans and Bronwyn Stein, because I think these are really they're really good descriptions. So the first one, in the belly, the hara, 2 finger breadths below the belly button, about a third of the way into your body. In this energy center, this is earth key, this is earth energy. This is the first of those really important elements that the older systems were constructed out of. In this center, one's original energy is stored. This is the energy one is born with, the energy that is the essence of your life and supports your life's purpose. Original energy is not only the energy one receives from one's parents when we're conceived, but most importantly, it is the energetic connection between the practitioner and the universal life force. It is through this energy center that one connects with the strength of the earth. It's actually a lot for us to kind of take in there. First of all is a concept that is repeated in core shamanism, Celtic shamanism, and contemporary shamanism in a lot of forms that I've come across over the years, which is the idea that this abdominal energy center, or as it's often referred to in shamanism as the abdominal cauldron, that's the energy center that's already filled when you're born. Like we come with that one already installed, so to speak. That's our original energy. It's what we get from our parents, from our ancestors. We're already born with that store of energy. And then in shamanism, it's often considered, obviously shamanism is a vast term to use, but in many forms of shamanism, it is considered that growing that energy and rising it up and developing, you know, other skills and other ways of viewing the world and other ways of being connected, building spiritual energy at these sort of higher frequencies. That's work that we do as we move through the world. But initially, while we can lose energy through illness or other things that happen to us, we do come into the world with a tanden, so to speak. This is what we come into the world with. So that's the first thing I want to say, that this connection is not just to Reiki, and it's not just even to the idea of the earth. This is a connection to our ancestors. It's to the lineage that we came from. We were born with this. We were given this. And I think that's something that we don't really think about that much in the practice of Reiki. It's something that would have been, in those kind of Eastern systems, it would have been a really just basic idea. We're coming from a different kind of cultural setting there. This kind of honoring of the parents or whatever would have been quite important, and this idea of knowing how your lineage goes back would have been important. And I think maybe for a lot of us, certainly for myself, I discovered my grandparents were Irish when I was about 20. It's absurd, the amount of information. Just if your ancestors are Cockneys, there's a lot of information that just gets lost and not spoken. And there's so much that a lot of us don't kind of think of in that way. So that's the first thing I wanted to raise. This is ancestral energy to a certain extent. It's the gift of life given to us by our parents. And that's something that sort of has fallen by the wayside. But then this idea is the connection between, it's the energetic connection between the practitioner and the universal life force. This is why we use this place, our grounding, our center of gravity, to connect in with source energy from above, and we draw it down, and we're going to do that in a bit, into the tanden, and we work from there. So we are kind of earthed. But it's also this center that one connects with the strength of the earth. And this is what I wanted to talk about a bit, about this kind of earth center. I think the idea of, maybe I just have a romanticized idea about it because of like the prevalence of like martial arts training and that sort of really embodied energy practice in Japan. But that sort of groundedness and that central focus, when I was trained in Reiki, first of all, I was told the tanden is not just the place, and I was a martial artist, so I knew about working from that place in martial arts. And if you've ever done Tai Chi or Qigong, you've felt it from there as well. And obviously Reiki, we work from there. But there's also the idea that, as I was trained, was that Japanese calligraphy masters would work from the tanden and do, I think, flower arranging was the other example that my Reiki teacher gave. These ideas, these sort of creative arts that are done in like a real mindfulness flow, that you would have to be fully present and grounded in your body. In this sort of Japanese idea, this is where you would work from, because you are grounded in the earth, you are taking action, but it's the flow of divine source energy through you that makes it into something that's beautiful and something that's done with mindfulness. I think in a lot of modern kind of healing and spiritual movements these days, we have a tendency to work really hard. I hear a lot of people talking about working with their heart center and like releasing blocks in the heart and opening their heart, and everything is positivity and love and light and all of these things, and operating, working very much from this place and focusing on this place. And even more than that, what I see much more of is lots of us working from this upper energy center place where we're developing visionary skills, intuition, being able to see energy, being able to perceive things differently, building that sort of psychic awareness and sensitivities. Much less focus on being down in the belly. And actually, Frans Stein talks a lot about how the modern kind of body shape is about kind of being sort of bigger and sort of more solid up here, and then sort of narrow in the belly, kind of making us inverted and imbalanced, rather than having that sort of the plump Buddha belly that we rub for good luck, that would have been considered to be that kind of being centered there is not about being, it's strength, but it's not about being like lean or narrow. But like if you think about sumo wrestlers, they always work from there, and they're massive, but they move really quickly, and they're all operating, working from that place. If you've ever done Tai Chi or anything like Qigong exercises where you can push against someone's tanden and try and push them off balance, you can kind of interact with other people's tandens. And people who are really grounded, they're really hard to push over. Whereas if we move the focus of our energy into a different place in our body, then it's much easier to throw us off balance. And I say this because it is really important for all of us that are doing healing work and spiritual work, that this heart work and opening our heart is massively important, and the psychic development and sensitivity is really important as well. But working down in the hara, in the tanden, is more important. And with this idea that this is and maybe it's because it's the energy we came with first, and sort of we feel like, oh well, being physically present, well, I'm here, so I've done that, I don't have to develop doing that. And we sort of start trying to develop these things that are new to us as we're getting older maybe. And then we forget, actually, you can be in the room and not be physically present in your body at all. And you can even be doing energy work, even holding space, doing healing work, without being solidly and balanced present in your body at all. So working with the tanden is the most important part, I think. So before I talk about the heart center and the head center, which I really do want us to do some work with those, I'd really like us to focus in on our tandens, and just get some energy flowing and just build that strength. There were a number of people who signed up that I can see on the call that said they didn't work this way. And I don't know how many people are going to watch this afterwards as well. We had a lot of sign-ups. So I'm just going to say, if you feel like you can't feel where it is in your body, if you are a martial artist or something, it's going to be easier for you. My students who come in with Tai Chi experience, they're way ahead of the game. They can always locate the tanden really easily. But we're going to be working with our intention And that means that whatever, even if you can't feel it physically at this point, don't worry about it. Send it there with the intention. As you work with it, if you're not used to working with it, as you work with it, it will become stronger and easier for you to feel. So I'm going to talk us through, I'm going to start with an exercise, a Japanese exercise called Joshin Kokyu Ho, which some of you will know. It literally translates as the method of focusing on one thing with breath. And what we're going to focus on is the tanden. And I'm going to get us to breathe energy down through the crown into the tanden. I'm going to have us visualize that energy get stronger and build a little bit in the tanden. And then on the out breath, we're going to spread the energy out through the entire body into the universe. And I am going to speak us through that the whole way. Try to be in a natural breathing rhythm rather than, over breathing. We don't want to imbalance ourselves. It only needs to be natural breathing. And we're going to start with that Joshin Kokyu Ho. I know a lot of you will be familiar with it already. And then we're going to stay in the meditative state. And I am going to work a little bit more with the tanden. Excuse me. I'm going to change the way that we direct that energy, and we're going to explore some other connections there. But you'll be feeling very grounded in your bodies, my friends. So we'll be fine to explore energetically. I am going to put on a little bit of background and put my phone on Do Not Disturb, which it was not on before. That's lucky. So I'm going to get you guys to sit or kneel in a position that's comfortable for you to do your meditations. Technically speaking, we can do this one probably lying down, but Joshin Kokyu Ho would be done traditionally sat up. Think about that idea of the 3 centers that we're going to be working with. Let's come down into the belly with as much as you can, whatever's comfortable for you, to have a straight core. I'm just going to take a moment to come into Gasho, prayer position. Just take a moment to center ourselves. Because although we are experimenting and we are working and learning and playing as well, still connecting with sacred energies, let's take a moment in gratitude for the Reiki source, gratitude for this circle that's come together. Set your intention. We're just going to connect with the Reiki source above. You can either do that in prayer position, or if you prefer, you can raise your hands above your head with your palms facing upwards, whichever is more comfortable for you, and let that energy flow down from above. Take your attention down to your tanden, the space beneath and behind your belly button. And allow that connection, that flow of Reiki energy to flow down from above, and just gently connecting it in with your tanden. And when you're ready, just resting your hands, palms open in your lap in a comfortable position. Holding the intention on the tanden for a moment. And if you can feel it, notice how it feels to have connected it with Source. And if you can't yet, just set your intention that that's the space you're working with, that's the space you're developing today. So So we're going to begin working with the breath. With each gentle in-breath, draw energy down through the crown, taking it down through the central channel of energy in your body, taking it down into the tanden. And on the out-breath, releasing energy from the tanden through your whole body in all directions. We're being gentle with that breathing, a natural, gentle, even breathing rhythm. With every in-breath, easily drawing down Reiki energy through your crown, taking it down to the tanden. On every out-breath, breathe that energy out from the tanden out through your whole body in all directions. And there is a tiny space in between the in-breath and the out-breath. In that very brief pause between breathing in and breathing out. Just let that energy build and strengthen in the tanden and then release it out through the body in all directions. As one of my teachers says, into the universe as far as infinity. This is a traditional Japanese method. We're going to sit with this breathing just for another couple of minutes. Breathe energy in through the crown to the tanden. Build and strengthen, release through the body in all directions. Breathe in through the crown. Always focused on the tanden. Build and strengthen in the space between breaths. Release energy out into the universe in all directions on the out breath. Notice how it feels. Notice how your tanden feels or your general abdominal area. Notice how it feels in the pause between breaths. And notice how it feels as you send that energy out through your body rather than through your hands as you're probably used to. And releasing now that visualization, no longer working to move the energy, but staying seated as you are. Bring your attention, your mind's eye, and just your inner knowing to your tanden, your dantien, the abdominal cauldron. Notice if there's any slight difference in how it feels after those few minutes of Joshin Kokyuho. If you can't physically feel it, imagine it. Take your attention into that place. And remember those ideas. from Shugendo and Buddhism and even Aikido about the importance of earth, the importance of form. Still aware of your tanden, feel aware of your body seated on the solidity of the chair, of the earth underneath. Understand that this is not just where we connect to divine spiritual energy, but that the earth itself is an essential connection to us. Feeling very aware of the earth beneath you. Begin working with the breath again, exactly as we did before, drawing Reiki down through the crown, into the tanden, breathing energy out through the body. As you do so, visualize that energy flowing down into the earth. Breathing energy down from source to the tanden. Build and strengthen. Breathe energy out of the body and releasing it down into the earth that holds us. Remember that we have that connection with the earth always. And we don't forget that in spiritual pursuits. Feel the earth hold you as you breathe. And this time, making just gentle in-breaths, drawing down from above into the tanden. And this time just allowing, on the out-breath, for your belly to fill with Reiki energy. Let the earth underneath you hold you. And work really gently with the breath. Energy flowing down as gently or strongly as it needs to into your tanden. And as you relax your breath, you just allow your belly, your whole abdomen to fill with Reiki energy. With that core center, the tanden, in the middle of it. Let the base of your body receive any healing that it needs. This earth energy, this earth key, in this part of the body brings us physical strength, physical healing. Be aware of the earth holding you and your breath gently supporting you. Reiki flowing easily down with the in-breath, connecting easily into the tanden. And just allowing that energy to build, not overwhelmingly, just gently filling the belly. So even this one energy center is our center of gravity, our connection to divine healing energy that we draw down from above. It's also our connection to the earth. Be aware of the energy of the earth that holds you. It's also the place of the energy we were born with. Whatever your situation, Take a moment to be grateful for all of the ancestors that had to survive long enough for eventually all of us to be here. Take a moment to honor what came before, what gave us the energy to be born. Coming back into Joshin Kokyu Ho, we're going to let that energy flow naturally again. So in the in-breath, draw energy down through the crown into the tanden. Build and strengthen in the breathe pause, and breathe that energy out into the universe as far as infinity on the out-breath. Gentle, even, natural breathing rhythm. Working with the tanden, building and strengthening it. We send that energy out into the world, into the earth, into anywhere that needs it. And this will allow us any excess energy that's been built up to also dissipate here. Breathing Reiki, like a cleansing breath from above into the tanden, strengthening, and then breathing that energy out into the universe. And knowing we are still always able to be connected to the Reiki source, and knowing the earth is always holding us, just release that breath and that visualization now. Bring your attention back to your tanden. Hover one hand over the other, over your belly if you can. Know that this is your center of gravity, your connection to the earth, to divine energy, to everything that led to your birth and everything that has led you to connect to your purpose. This is the center of Earth Key. Knowing it's there, but no longer actively working with it. We're going to bring our hands back up into prayer position. And give thanks to the energy. Set an intention. We're no longer actively channeling the energy. And breathe yourself deeply now back into your body. You might want to finish by rubbing or shaking the hands down the arms or on the legs, just bringing yourself back to normal awareness. And breathing yourself back in your own time. That was a poetic interpretation of Joshin Kokyu-ho. The first part was traditional Japanese. But I do think if we stay in that place and slightly shift our attention around, I feel like I can really feel that I'm almost being cupped by the earth like this while I'm doing that part of it. and feel, yeah, a real sort of sense of that grounding if we just take our attention into that place. How is it for you guys? Is there anyone who has anything they would like to share? No pressure to share if you do not want to, but if anyone would like to share anything, please feel free. Or if anyone has any questions that came up during that, then please do let me know. Everybody's very centered now. We have no questions. We are fully connected to our purpose now. If any questions do come up and you want to drop them into the chat, please feel free to do that. Oh, hello. Hi, Simon.
Just an observation, really, rather than a question.
Yeah.
And it's something I've always noticed, but it was quite strong today, is that when you are guided through a meditation like that, it's always more powerful than when you do it on your own at home in your own time. Funny that.
I also think it's the group coming together. There's something about, meditating with other people that does just like level it up, doesn't it? I've been using the same guided Hatsure meditation for 22 years. I know it off by heart, but you're right, it's different for me to be guided through the process. I still use a guided meditation. It does make a difference. And were people able to feel energy within the energy center of the body, even if you didn't know it, know the tanden before? Simon, I know that you have been working with the tanden from the beginning of your Reiki journey. I don't know if there's anyone on the call who hasn't worked with the tanden before. There's Natasha, my lovely. Would you mind sharing? So I've put you on the hot seat there.
That's fine, no problem. I really enjoyed the meditation. It felt through my whole Reiki journey over the past kind of 3 years, I hadn't worked with a tanden at all until I came to one of your power retrieval sessions, and that was my kind of first introduction to it, where we did this meditation and I could kind of feel it, but I definitely felt that I could feel it stronger today. So it had kind of grown. But yeah, and I could definitely feel it within the where the hara was. I was able to pinpoint the location a lot more. So I found this really beneficial. And yeah, as Simon was saying, to be guided through it feels really powerful. So yeah, for me it was really beneficial. And as someone who is not used to working with the tanden, I could really feel it and would benefit from it for sure.
That's great. And it was only a few months ago that you started working with, you were introduced to it. So it's interesting that you're saying it's built up already over that period of time. So that's really nice to see. And it does. So even if you can't feel it, guys, when you first start working with the tanden, over a period of time, it can become much stronger. And when I send out this recording, I'll send it to all of you that are on the call as well. I will send, in case you haven't done it, there is a Japanese practice, the Japanese name of which escapes me, but it translates as the breath of truth. And it is for defining the tanden and making it stronger. I've done a previous Reiki Skills Lodge on this, and it's suitable for Reiki 1 and above as well. So when I send this out, and when I post this, I'll put this underneath in the link as well. I'll send you the link to that if any of you haven't done that before and want to play around with that, because it doesn't strictly speaking use Reiki. It uses like golden energy, but I don't mind mixing it up a little bit like that sometimes. And it's a powerful practice. So I'll send the link to that Reiki Skills Lodge as well for anybody who wants to play with that too. But that was a real kind of, the Joshin Kokyu Ho is something that I do every day. That's the breathing in, building and strengthen, and breathing out. And then just sitting in the tanden and the energy, that's my own sort of poetic license with it, and thinking about, you know, where you've come from and the idea of that cauldron of energy and your purpose and the earth and all that. That's just fun playtime that I made up. But I think it does actually give another dimension to us feeling our tanden that makes it a bit more real and a bit more earthed, which it is. So thank you guys for meditating so serenely through that process. I think you can really feel it when everyone's meditating together, and it felt really nice for me. And it was like that was a 20-minute almost meditation session. So thank you for your focus. It was really lovely. We do still have time to look at the other two centers. And remember, I'm going to go into this this definition, this explanation that Bronwyn and Frans Stein have given in the Reiki source book of the Earth Key Center, the tanden. Just based on, just think on this now that you've felt how it feels in your body. It's where your original energy is stored, the energy you're born with, the energy that is the essence of your life and supports your life's purpose, the energy you receive from your parents when you're conceived, but also the energetic connection between practitioner and universal life force. Through this center, we connect with the strength of the earth. In physical posture, a strong tanden or a strong hara, you know, that stance where it's like the legs are slightly apart, a little bit loose, and the movement comes from here, not too kind of taut and pulled in. It's a relaxed, soft belly that will show us as having strong tanden. It's noted in physical posture that we're not taut and tense, but actually sort of almost quite loose and centered in the belly rather than up here. But these other two centers are important for our energy, our body. So the heart key, middle of the chest, exactly the same as the heart chakra center in the Vedic systems. The energy in this center is connected with emotions. This human energy connects one fully with the human experience. Through this center, one learns life's process from childhood through to adulthood and back to being a child. When one is a child, one is without experience. As one grows older, one becomes a child with experience. Bronwyn and Frans getting a little bit philosophical there for us. But it's this idea of the human experience, emotional stuff, connections, relationships, all of our grief and losses is in here, and all of our love and our joy and excitement and connectedness to people and exciting, important events, these life experiences. This is heartfelt. I can see a dog on my Zoom screen right now, so my heart is already feeling more connected. Hello, sweet creature. Sorry for people watching the recording who can't see the dog. It's a beautiful dog. Thank you, Poppy, for bringing a dog. All these little, like, beautiful connections that happen in our life, and the tough ones as well of our life experience. Grief is often what we need to release. Loss is what we need to release here. From childhood, we start to have all of those experiences. And I think what they're saying when they talk about we become an adult and then go back to being a child with experience, this idea that we can then have that freedom and that innocence again once we've got a developed heart center. So we're not holding on to resentments, not holding on to difficult attachments, and not closing the heart over once it's open again. I've never met anyone that this hasn't happened for. You can be really, really open as a child, and then like a bunch of stuff happens and everybody to a greater or lesser extent closes off here to a certain extent. That is just life. And then is over the course of the healing journey, whatever that, you know, it's not only for us who do energy healing, but over the course, as people become who they are, and we can start to open that up again and become more joyful, more connected with life again. And I think that's what they're talking about. And this is the human place. This is the human experience. And it is that connection. Remember the Aikido guy talking about, you know, navigating the dual nature. We are the place in between heaven and earth. So all our emotional stuff, and I think a lot of our connections to other people, will often be coming from here. And then we have heavenly ki found up in the head, or heaven ki. My Reiki teachers called it heavenly ki. Frans Stein calls it heaven ki. Found in the head. Here exists energy connected with one's spirit, heavenly energy. When connected with this center, one may see colors or develop psychic ability. It's important to remain balanced and centered when working with this energy. Use it while working in combination with the other energy centers to support one in this. So this, I always think about it as the visionary center. For those of us that do healing work on other people, or do journeying work or meditation work, even for ourselves, seeing colors, being aware when you are able to kind of look at the flow of energy, or maybe perceiving auras. I can see little things that flicker in people's bodies when I'm working on them that tells me what to move and where to work on. Other people have visions of spirit guides kind of coming in and talking to them. All of this stuff is developing up here. And it's the prized thing. I live in Glastonbury, so it's really the prized thing in Glastonbury to open up this centre. And the work with the tanden has to come first in Azui's system, in Celtic Shamanism, and in all grounded forms of spirituality. We've got to be grounded in the body before we open up here. And I would say we've got to be grounded in the body before we start delving into our heart wounds as well. I don't know if you've ever had an emotional healing crisis. And by the way, I had one recently. And we're none of us are immune to that. Every now and again, you'll crack yourself open wide enough that you'll cry for a few days. But I have seen people over the years kind of really have an emotional release and awakening. And if we don't have that form, that earth to hold us as we do it, we can really spiral out, and it can be really hard for people to put themselves back together. Likewise, building psychic awareness is an amazing gift that us humans have, and a lot of us humans that come onto this path have a very developed one. But it's super important for us to remain grounded and not get lost up here. My natural energetic state is to be up here and never to be in my body really at all. You know, it was my big learning was not to open this up. It was to be able to close it down and then to actually work my way back and hold myself in my body. So I know how ungrounding it can be to not focus here on the tandem and our body and our purpose and our lived experience and the earth energy. You know, that's got to be there all the time. And then we work in the heart center, but we're also grounded in our body, in the earth, in our purpose, in where we've come from. Same here. We've got to have that. So all of our Reiki work is always being done with connection from the tanden, but we can also build up these other connections as well in the body. And so I wanted to do a little meditation. I know we did quite a big one, but I believe you have another one in you where we're going to work. Again, we're going to connect in at the tanden, and I'm just going to guide you all through a really simple process where we work through the 3 tandens in turn. So we're going to start grounded in the body. We're going to move up into the heart. We're going to move up into the head. I'm going to take us through it relatively slowly. We're not going to be rushing anything. And before we close it down, I'm going to take us back down into the heart and back down into the tanden. So we're not going to leave anything open here. But I will say that before we do this process, if at any point you feel like the energy is a bit too intense, remember it's in your power to slow it down. You can come out of the meditation. But I would say if you do feel, especially once we get up into the upper centers, we are going to work down in the tanden first. You should be good, guys. But if you're not used to working at the third eye center and it feels a bit intense, just drop yourself back down into the heart and into the tanden and then come out of it. Or just release the visualization and don't follow my direction on the breath, and then come back down with me when it's done. So don't shake yourself out of it too quickly, but remember that you have agency here. And if it feels a bit too intense, you can slow it down and you can come out of it. Just make sure you take care of your energy bodies as we do it. And trust me, if it starts to feel a bit light, or especially up here, you can kind of see colors and stuff. Just remember, I will ground it all down and close us all down before we finish. And I was considering drumming, but I'm not going to drum because that really will space you out a little bit, I think. So I will pop the music back on, my friends. So I'm going to get you once again. Just come into your center. You might want to move your body a little bit. We've been sitting for a long time. I know this is the last meditation. Stretch your body out. Make yourself comfortable. Take a couple of deep breaths. We're going to take your attention down to the tanden and set an intention. We're going to be working through the 3 tandens, the 3 cauldrons, the 3 diamonds, just to get awareness of the different energies and the containers of energies, the powerful connections and containers we have in our own body. Set an intention that you'll receive any healing you need in those centers during this meditation. And that all that healing will be for your highest good. And we're going to connect to the Reiki source in whatever way works for you. Hands above the head, hands in prayer position, or just deciding. And in that connection we make with the source energy flowing down from above, we're going to take it back down into the tanden. A really familiar space for us now. And then we're going to sit comfortably while I guide you through the meditation. You can have your hands in whatever position is comfortable for your meditation. We are focusing on inside of the body. So as you breathe in, drawing down some of that energy from source down into your tanden. And we're going to keep it there. We're not going to worry about moving energy. This is not a traditional breathing practice. Very gentle breathing. We want to stay centered, solid, not over breathing. With every in-breath, just drawing down a little more Reiki source energy through your crown and letting it come down to the tanden. Filling the tanden. Every in-breath drawing a little more again, just remembering this powerful earth key energy that we've already connected in with so strongly today. And just let that energy build there. We're just filling that energy center, filling that bottom tanden, feeling that really strong connection from above. And we're just coming down into here just to ground ourselves. Remember, this is your center of gravity, your connection to who you are, your life's essence and the earth itself. So feeling really solid in your belly, in your hara. And keep drawing the energy down and filled up and strong as that center is now. And you can feel that or imagine that in your mind's eye. Now I'm going to raise that energy level up to the heart center. So we're still drawing energy down from above. But raise your attention up into your heart center. Your tanden, your hara, is already filled with energy, so much so that it's overflowing and has risen upwards into your heart. And working gently with the breath now, drawing energy down from above into your heart center. Into your heart center. Know that your tanden still holds you really powerfully in your body. You're grounded and safe. But let yourself explore the expanding of your heart center with the drawing down of each additional breath. The energy in your heart center gets more, it gets stronger. Notice how it feels. Notice how your body can expand as that energy center grows and strengthens. Know that this is the connection space, the human space. Know that this is the space of oneness, essential connection. This place we're not just of the earth, of flesh and bone. We're not just of our life's essence and the way we walk through the world. Nor are we just of spirit, just of divine connection. Here we're in our hearts. This is the connection to everything we love. This is how we move through the world with feeling. And you can visualize or you can feel it with your breath. You might even feel the need to release a little bit of energy here through your breath. If this is moving something for you, only go as far as you need to. You might even want to place your hand or both your hands on your heart. Be guided by your own body, your own visualization. This is an essential part of your energy core and an essential frequency of Reiki. In this space of oneness and connection, the meeting of earth and heaven to create the human experience. Remember the energy and the essence of the Reiki principles, the principles we live in alignment with, the way we walk through the world without angering, worrying. We stay in the moment, humble, honest. Compassion, a huge part of this energy. Compassion for ourselves and compassion for others. Still not over breathing, knowing you're still grounded in your tanden. Let the energy keep flowing down with every in-breath into your heart. But do release anything that needs to on the out-breath, if that's what you need. If what you need is healing into your heart, then let yourself take it in. And while we're in this heart key, we remember that essence of the Reiki precepts. Kyo dakewa I karuna shinpai suna kanshashite kyo hageme hitoni shinsetsuni. Kyo dakewa I karuna shinpai suna kanshashite kyo hageme hitoni shinsetsuni. Kyo dakewa I karuna shinpai suna kanshashite gyo hageme hitoni shinsetsuni. Source energy has risen up from your belly into your heart. This is the natural development through the course of our life. Now it rises up further as you keep breathing, rising up through the central channel of energy into your body, into the tanden at your head. Easiest to connect with this around the third eye. Let the energy rise up to there. Let your attention rise up to there. And allow the Reiki source energy to flow down from above into the heaven key center. Divine energy. Emptiness as opposed to form. Heaven as opposed to earth. Visionary as opposed to grounded. We need this too. Notice how your body feels. If breathing Reiki into the head feels destabilizing, you can just allow it to flow naturally through the crown, filling that center within your head. Know that this is the gift of divine energy, of awareness, perception, vision. It's also a big part of what's connected to our dreaming. Those of you that do shamanic journeying or visioning work, this is a big part of that. Those of you that work psychically, this is a big part of that. So allow that energy to flow into the center. Breathe the energy in if that feels good. Know that vision implies clarity, my friends. So let's have a moment of calling that into our intention. May your vision be clear and true. May you interpret it with skill. May you speak about it with wisdom, or keep it in silence if that's the wisdom. Heavenly key, visionary energy, or rather the energy that supports your visionary self, flows into the center at your head. If there's any tension, perhaps there is something in the head that needs to be released, tension or worry. If it feels good, you can move your head slightly or breathe anything out that feels that it needs to come out. Remember that idea of strength in the earth center in the belly as being soft and easy to move. So notice if there's tension in your head. And allow yourself to relax the jaw, relax the facial muscles. And settle back into that comfortable position and let the energy flow in. You might see colours or feel a slightly lighter, colder energy as we work up here. A slightly different frequency of the Reiki energy that serves this energy center. Let that head center be filled and blessed, and let your mind be soothed. Let your mind be soothed. Let your thoughts be soothed. Let your vision be soothed by the source energy. That heavenly key that we have access to, that we are also part of. And with your intention, pull your attention and your focus down into your heart center once again. And notice now as we're on our way back down that you can really feel that shift between those two places. Still drawing energy down gently with the breath into the heart center. And if you've taken in enough healing, you can release what you're breathing in on the out breath. But do that work from the heart now. Still connected to the flow of Reiki from above. Working from the center in the heart. The center of compassion, humanity, emotion, connection and oneness. Notice how strong and solid the heart feels compared to being up in the head center. Notice if it feels different, more expanded than it did when we began. Set an intention that any heart healing you need has been received in this process. And take a moment to bless the things you love, the things you've lost, and the things that you are connected to in your heart. And drop that focus and that attention down when you're ready to move down from the heart, coming down back into the tanden, the center of Earth Key, where we began, where we did so much work. This is your place of strength. Feel how strong it is there compared to when we began an hour or so ago. Know that this is your connection to the Reiki source in order to use it for works of form, works of earth, works of manifestation. That includes healing the physical body. That includes pulling energy through ourselves to heal and soothe the bodies and hearts and minds of the people that we work with. It also means engaging with our purpose and our life and walking through the world. This is our Earth Center. Focusing your attention there, feeling yourself in your center of gravity and in your body. Just allow that flow of Reiki from above that you've been working with to slow and stop any visualizations of light or energy centers or flow. Just let them fade away. Taking deep breaths, breathe yourself into the tanden. As it is in your belly, breathe into your belly. Not an energy center that we work with so much as the center of your being. Take a minute now to breathe yourself into your body, to give thanks to the Reiki energy for all the healing you've received. But really start to feel yourself present in your own body. Making sure that you feel really physically present. Deep breaths, moving the shoulders and the head, stretching out the arms, just really feeling yourself present, back in your body, back in your room, in your space. You might want to finish with Kenyoku, the dry bathing, where we breathe and then spread across the body or across the arms. You may just want to rub and shake the hands together. It's all about feeling physically present again after some really solid energy work we've done today, my friends. How was that, my lovelies? All three. Cliff, you look so serene and you're being like bathed in light. Look at you. You are. You look so serene, bathed in light and glowing from it. That's exactly what we're supposed to look like, my friends, when we finish our meditations. If you're going to explore with these three energy centers, there's some really lovely books that you can read. The Japanese Art of Reiki or The Inner Heart of Reiki, both by Frans Stein, both excellent. But you can just sit and work with those three centers as you move forward with your meditation practices. I'm going to be doing another Reiki Skills Lodge on this that's for Reiki 2 and above only. So for those of you that are that, which I think is everyone here, do sign up for that, because there are powerful ways of working with it, with the first three symbols that really connect us into the more of the frequency of it. But the centers themselves I mean, you can get a lot just from connecting with those, right? Just from like connecting in with them. If you're going to work with them yourself, think about the things that you need help with in terms of healing for your life. You know, if it's physical energy that you need, or like, you know, just recovering from tiredness or recovering from illness or recovering from injury, that's all tanden stuff. So like really kind of develop that up. I'm going to send you guys the breath of truth exercise as well. And if it's like honoring something that's quite tender, the connections with other people, maybe grief or loss, maybe, you know, yeah, having love for your purpose again, any kind of emotional stuff, any family stuff, anything like that. That's a really good space to work here. And anything around kind of getting a bit more clarity around maybe psychic work that you guys are getting, or visionary work, or creative work as well, then, you know, you can work with that energy center. But remember, we always want to be calling in and starting at the tanden first, regardless of what thing you need to focus on for yourself. And I really recommend that you go back down the body before you come out of any kind of healing process for those places, because they're such powerful energy centers. You don't want to get all high on Reiki and then be like lightheaded afterwards. So come back down into the tanden and really ground yourself first. So we got time for today, my friends. That was a lot of energy work as well as a lot of talking. Please drink water, because I know it was just simple visualizations, but it was real healing energy work. So drink water, get the rest that you need. Try and be a little bit easy on the sugar, a little bit easy on the caffeine, that kind of stuff that's like disruptive to the energy body. You know your own bodies, my friends. And if you have a little bit of a release after this, you all know what you're doing. You're all good. But if there's any questions in the aftermath, ping me an email. All right, my lovelies. We've used every minute. Thank you so much for being here. It's really lovely to see so many of you on the call. I send you so much love. And thank you for being here. I'll see you soon.